Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and yep, 6.1 releases tomorrow. We've already had a video dedicated to the massive Kislev rework and also the changes coming into Kairos and Tzeentch. This video is going to be dedicated to the minor changes coming into Cathay, very small ones, and also the brand new units for Cathay and the Ogre Kingdoms. The first thing we can talk about is the change to the faction and lord effects for Miao Ying. So, faction effects are as follows: defensive supplies plus 300 for all regions, construction cost minus 20% for Great Bastion buildings faction-wide, corruption minus 2, leadership plus 10 when fighting against the Warriors of Chaos, Demons of Chaos, Chaos Dwarfs, and Norska, ammunition plus 20% all armies, and then for Lord effects we have the following: upkeep minus 50% for missile infantry units, Lord's Army, you can actually make them pretty close to near free, recruit rank plus 2 for Iron Hell Gunners, Crane Gunners, and Nangao Grenadier units, that's for Lord's Army, and that is the brand new unit. Finally, missile strength plus 10% for Iron Hail Gunners, Crane Gunners, and finally Nangao Grenadier units in Lord's Army. That unit is going to be fairly useful for you, especially if you like cheap early entry units. So let's jump in, we've got a few things to talk about. So before we jump into the new units, I did see this in the patch notes, I think a few people might find it interesting. With Zhao Ming, when you start a brand new campaign, there is an Ogre camp right next to you, which means that you are able to recruit some Ogre units from turn 1. Obviously Zhao Ming does have that benefit towards getting more Ogre mercenaries. Might be fun for you. You're just going to have to build up your reputation with them a little bit more and let them survive a bit more, and that way you'll be able to get all the really cool units like the Mournfang Cavalry, which are some of my personal favorites. Nangao Grenadiers are a brand new unit available to Grand Cathay, which are available from tier 2 in the same building line as your other gunpowder stuff. So naturally you're going to be getting there anyway. They're a pretty interesting units because they are a basic fighter in melee, but also they do some pretty good grenade damage. I'll be showing that in just a second. The units themselves are pretty decent statted. Nothing amazing, I must say, but overall, I think it's pretty cool to see like a brand new unit style coming in for Grand Cathay. These have voices. They have their voices of saying, you know, their unit name, just like how Total War's been doing it recently. They're very much all Pokemon. And they do have a flash grenade which is able to debuff enemy troops, which I think is kind of cool. Now their battle usage is pretty cool, to be honest, because the grenades are very powerful. I'm not sure if that's going to be nerfed, but they do disrupt the enemy lines very, very heavily, as you can see over here when they're shooting at the Marauders of Nurgle, which does mean that you're going to be able to slow down the enemies quite a decent amount. You're not going to be stopping them too much because like your range is only 55, but they are definitely a fairly decent short range shock troop. They're not the most amazing when it comes to melee, and you will have to break up formation. Animations are fairly decent though, I will say. They look pretty damn cool. I think it's a pretty decent unit. Not spectacular, but keep in mind that this is just a free unit. Where they do excel is when they're providing support. So when you've got them behind your other troopers throwing the grenades, because yes, they can lob the grenades over. They're not going to be one of those ones that they need direct line of sight, which is damn good. And then taking them to the side, having them shoot on the side, supporting the warriors, your frontline shield wall. I think this is where these units excel, and then they can go in and fight without too much of a problem. Yeah, overall, I think Cathay needed something kind of like this. They're defensive. You can have them defending the walls. They should not have too many problems throwing off the walls too, because the fix did come up for that a while back. So yeah, no, I mean, this is decent. I do wonder where this unit came from, if this is something that Games Workshop have planned for Grand Cathay, as we are aware that they're going to start hinting at the old, well, they have started hinting at the old world version of Cathay soon, which should be identical to what we're seeing to Total War Warhammer. So maybe that's just a new unit that's just appeared out of the blue, or the Grenadiers have always been planned and they've just decided, you know, this is going to be the perfect time because they don't really fit with the DLC, and let's just bring them in out now. And yeah, I mean, overall, happy. Probably the most interesting surprise of this patch is that the Ogre Kingdoms are going to get another brand new unit, Noblar Flingers, which are available to you at tier 2 from the normal Noblar building. These are going to be used in a very similar way to that of Skaven Slaves, which, I mean, yeah, it was a missing unit, right? You can actually get them on the tabletop still if you buy a Noblar box. They are in skirmish formation, interestingly enough, which does make them a little bit better. I like them. they're more or less comparable to that of Skaven Slaves. Don't think of them as this amazing thing, and they're not going to be as good as, say, for example, the Piggyback Riders, but having a little bit of support is always great, and you're definitely going to get a little bit of range support over here with 120 range, just in case you want a little bit of shooty power. The way I see it, it's better to have a unit and not need it than not have it at all, and this is probably the best thing that we're getting in terms of these free units, in terms of patches. They are better than Skaven Slaves. I actually found this out through my testing. I guess the skirmish formation makes it better because obviously they won't be taking as many hits, and they do knock them out fairly quickly. I mean, it's not the most impressive thing to be better than Skaven Slaves, but it's still a pretty damn good unit if you're playing Ogres a lot. And the Ogres are fairly popular at the moment, which is always good to see. So this was just a small update that you'd be getting in 6.1 when it releases tomorrow. Obviously, the bigger videos have already been released, Kizev's big rework and the stuff for Kairos. Check those out on the channel if you're interested. And if you want to see a little bit more of what's coming in 6.1, I am live on twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges. Pop by, say hi, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.